All right, let's try this again. Hi, my name is Mike Patel with Home Service Central, and we have an exciting program today. No guest because we have a lot of information. The topic is housing market chaos, the shift that could hit your wallet hard. And the reason I apologize is because I tried this live a few minutes ago and somehow the sound was not coming out. So there must have been a connection issue. Hopefully it's resolved. If you can hear me, just say hello or say anything and reply back on the comments. I'll look at it, but I'm assuming that you can hear me. So let's go for it. Let me just send a quick message to somebody. All right, great. So anyway, the topic is housing market chaos. Why is it a chaos? Well, two reasons. One, the lot of information you get from media and YouTubers and TikTokers is varied information. Some of it is for local information. Some of it is national information. So what you hear is not what you get. So there's a lot of confusion out there. The other reason is because there is a shift going on. There's a definitely shift. I've seen the shift. I read at blogs. I talk to brokers. I talk to realtor experts. I talk to other realtors nationwide on a daily basis. And we're getting different signals. Some areas are hot. Some areas are tanking in a big way. So what is happening out there? Some of the things I wanted to discuss today, or I'm going to discuss today, is housing headlines are contradictory. National news often doesn't match local realities. And confusion creates uncertainty for homeowners, buyers, and sellers. Again, depending on what's happening in your area, let us know where you are, what's happening in your area. Is there a lot of inventory? Are the home prices going up? Are they coming down? Are the number of sales coming down or going up? Let us know. Chat with me here. This is recorded, so if you're watching a recording, make some comments. But if you're live and watching, if you're able to chat, I would really appreciate it. In fact, I will even answer any questions that you may have or any information that you needed. So let's talk about the confusion in the media. Yes, there's a lot of confusion in the media because media tells you, and of course I'm generalizing that, some medias are putting out the truth. Some medias put out what you want to hear because they want advertising dollars. So the more people they watch, the more views they get, the more advertising they get. So people just, some of these media companies, and I'm talking about the big media companies, national media companies, and the smaller media companies, and also some of the YouTubers and the bloggers and the TikTokers who say things because that are fear-based. There are trying to shift you in a certain way because they also want advertising dollars. Boy, has this market changed. A lot of money is being made on social media. So just a warning out there. So if you make a decision, whether you're buying or you're selling or just thinking about doing something, you may want to consider what you want to do based on the correct information. So just wanted to put that out there for you. One of the things I also want to talk about is what kind of shifts are happening there. There's contradiction in the shift out there. So the best way to see what is happening is to look at the reports. So let me pull out some reports. I'm going to have to take a minute to pull these out. So just give me 1 minute. Here's one, and let's look at that. It's from JP Morgan, and I'm going to share that with you in just a minute. Let me get to it. I only have one computer here. Sorry about that. So let me share this. It's right here. Present, share screen. There you go. Okay. So this report is from JP Morgan. Let me make sure you can see it. Yeah, you can see that. So the report says, and I'm going to read this out, the outlook for U.S. housing market in 2025. This came out in February, so it's a little bit older, but I wanted to go back because data doesn't come out till, the true data doesn't come out till 90 to 120 days later. So what we are looking here is a pretty accurate what we want to look at. If you look on this side, on the right side, the key takeaways, JP Morgan Research expects house prices to rise by 3% overall in 2025. Now, remember, most of the people that I'm talking to, a lot of buyers that I'm talking to, are telling us, hey, we're going to wait another few months because the market is going to drop. We listen to other sellers who are still asking for a higher price because they think that the buyers are going to pay them the higher price, which they are not. So we are technically in a standstill, because a lot of the buyers are confused. A lot of the buyers cannot afford the higher priced homes. They cannot afford the higher interest rate. And to make matters worse, and this topic will come up again, is that the property tax in certain states have skyrocketed. Of course, when the property values go up, the property tax goes up. But I'm talking about the acceleration and the high rapid increase in property tax rates by certain states, certain counties, where in certain states, like Texas, I bring it out all the time, like in Florida, in Nebraska, a lot of states, they have gone up significantly higher. So if you're a buyer, then all of a sudden, because of the high property tax, you cannot afford the home. Or if you are a current homeowner, you've been there for 20 years, making your payments like clockwork every month, never been late, 2,000 a month, 3,000 a month. And all of a sudden, your property tax increases by $500 a month. Now you have $4,500 a month more, or $3,500 a month more in payments. And a lot of these home buyers have fixed income. They have kids in college, or other expenses, medical expenses. They have investment funds. They put money in the retirement funds. So all of a sudden, when you have to come up with $500 more on top of paying high price for dinner and groceries and gas and your utility bills, everything has gone up 200, 300 a month. And now your payment goes up 500 a month. So all of a sudden, home sellers, or not home sellers, homeowners are choking, because they get a shock when the home prices go up, or if they have to fix something because the insurance requires to. I was talking to an agent in Florida and said a lot of the homeowners cannot get insurance because they have 4 points over there. Well, the roof, the air conditioning, the electrical, and there was something else that has to be in working condition. So after the hurricanes, when they went to get the insurance, they gave them this list where these items have to be in working condition. So when they went to fix those things, they got a shock, because to fix the roof is very expensive, or to fix the HVAC is very expensive, or to fix the electrical, it's very expensive. And sorry, I can't remember the fourth item. If somebody is from Florida, make a note what it is, so we can see what that pointer was. But anyway, things like these is shocking homeowners who've been there a long time. I've been here for a long time. I've been here 25 years in my house. And all of a sudden, everything is very, very, very expensive. And my insurance has, of course, jumped significantly. So it's happening everywhere to everybody. So let's look at the report furthermore. It says here on the left-hand side, let's see here. On the right side, key takeaways. The higher for longer interest rate backdrop is here to stay, with mortgage rates expected to ease only slightly to 6.7% by the year end. Now, we all know that the administration, the current White House administration, is forcing Jerome Powell to reduce rates, but that's not something you do. They're going to do what they have to do. So let them do what they have to do. You can't force mortgage rates to decrease. So if you're a buyer, or if you're a seller thinking, oh yeah, let me sell it, and then when the rates drop, I'll buy it, or I'm waiting for the rates to drop, we don't know if the rates are going to drop or not. So let's see what happens. It may drop, it may not. But guess what happens if the interest rates will drop? If the interest rates drop, a lot of the home buyers that have been sitting on the fence will all rush to the market, and they all make offers on these low inventory of homes for sale. And guess what will happen when you have so many people making offers on one home? All of a sudden, guess what the seller's going to do? They're going to increase the price. So if the rates drop, that's great, but it's not good, because two things will happen. Home prices will go up, and your property tax payments per month for the next 30 years will go up. So let's see what happens. And the third thing they're saying is that President Trump's policies could have complex implications for the housing market, particularly on the issues of affordability. And I'm assuming they're talking about the tariffs. The tariffs have a very high impact so far, but I think the worst is yet to come, because the tariffs that were hit in February, March, they were canceled and put it on and canceled and put it on. The true impact hasn't applied yet. They're coming into the scenario right now. I believe the Chinese tariffs that were hit is going to have their impact moving forward in the coming soon, but has not hit yet. That's what I'm hearing. And of course, it could be false, but this is what I heard on some news channels, and I'm relaying that to you. But again, this is media talking, so it could be right, it could be wrong. Let's look at the house price outlook for 2025. Let me see if you can see the screen here. Double check on it. Yep, there it is. The graph shows that in 2024, the inventory, as you can see, is still low. It has gone up. The low was around 2023. If you can see at the bottom, the V shape, it was the lowest back then. Then it has jumped quite a bit in the beginning of 2024, end of 2023, December, January. And then it's been going up and up and up. But look at the inventory. It's under 1.5 million homes for sale right now. It was almost 1 million homes for sale. But just because it's 500,000 more from 2 or 3 years ago doesn't mean the inventory is very high. It's higher than where it was. But if you look at in 2008, 2009 inventory, it was almost 4 million homes for sale. Or if you look in a normal market, if we call it a normal market in 2015 to 2018, the inventory was around 2 to 2.5 million homes for sale. Right now, it's under 1.5. So yes, media is saying, oh, hell's going to break loose. Inventory is up. Inventory is up. Yes, for sure it is up. But compared to normal market or the market that has been, it is still very low. It's 1.5 million homes or less. So everything you have to look at why they're saying it and what are the impact of that inventory. Is it good or bad? And you have to look at those. Supply should be less of a support for the housing market in 2025. This is the report from Michael Reholt from JP Morgan. Let's look at, I'm not going to get into the multifamily, but there was another one. Let me see here. Okay, let's talk about the vacancy rates. This is talking about the blended homeowner and rental vacancy rates. So the blue line is the vacancy rates. In 2015, 2016, there was a lot of vacancies out there, and they were way down. The lowest we've had was back in 2020 or 2021, and now they're going up. So the vacancy rates are going up, and these are the rental vacancies. Let me see if I can share one more chart here. Let me see here. Okay, let's just move on here. All right. Let me remove the chart. And kind of bear with me. I'm kind of trying to do several things here. There you go. The next point I want to talk about is the market out of whack? So what is happening to the market? So if you look at the median days on the market, which means how long does it take to sell a home? It's been rising in July, and this is average numbers. In July, it's 58 days, is the highest since 2017. So that means the median price, the time it takes to sell a home in USA, not in your area or my area, is about 58 days, and it's the highest since 2017. So does that mean the market is crashing? Absolutely not. Several things are happening. It's taking longer to sell a house because the homeowners are still asking for higher price. Buyers cannot afford homes at the high prices, high property taxes, and high interest rates. So a lot of the home buyers are priced out of the market. So if they're priced out of the market, of course, it's going to take longer to sell the home. The more expensive the home, the higher the home prices, the longer it takes to sell a home, the lower the price you get, because the seller still has to lower the price to sell the home. So if I'm a seller and I have my house for sale at 1.5 and the competitors are at 1.4, I'm not going to sell my house at 1.4 because one, it's too expensive. The buyers are not going to pay more, because just as sellers work with their seller's agent and the agents tell them, hey, what you should sell for, what the market is doing, the buyer's agent hopefully 90% or more work with the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent can tell you, hey, is the house worth it? Should you pay 1.4? Is the 1.5 asking price too much? Will it appraise at 1.5? If you talk to the lender, he might say, or she might say, well, you can buy at 1.5, but it may not appraise, then you won't be able to buy it. So there's a lot of variations when you want to buy and sell. As I was mentioned earlier, overpriced homes are sitting and sellers need to adapt. Sellers need to adapt. So let me show you one chart. I won't show you, but I'll read it out. I just came across it a few minutes ago. Let's see. Okay, where is that? Okay, home buyer search. It's not that one. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. It says that this is from Redfin. It says that almost half of sellers are making concessions to get their homes sold. 44%. There was a time where sellers said, hey, give me my price or take a hike. I got 3 other offers. Now, because they've been sitting on the market, because they're not getting any offers, and because they're tired of realtors doing their open houses Saturday, Sunday, they're just getting tired of it, or they're getting tired of buyers coming in their homes to see their home with their agents or in open houses to sell their home now. And because there's so much inventory, they are going to have to give concessions. And what are these concessions? Well, the biggest concessions that the buyers are asking is credit towards the buyer repairs. And from 21, 22, 23, none of the sellers were giving any repairs. They were saying, hey, take it as it is or leave it. And guess what? A lot of the buyers bought it because the rates were 3%, 4%. So they figured, hey, I'm going to save $300, $400 a month in payments. I can use that to make repairs. Now that the rates are 6.5, 6.8, almost 7%, depending on your FICO score, it's a very high payment. So if you have to change the dishwasher, if you have to fix the plumbing, or if there's a roof leak going on, or if there's an air conditioning going on, buyers are saying, nope, I'm not going to buy it. So give me some credit or repair it. So either the sellers are repairing it or they're giving credit towards the repairs. That could be anywhere from $10, $20, $30,000 or more on an average home. Of course, in California or in Orange County, homes are $1 million, 1.3, 1.4 medium home prices range. So they may ask for higher credits if it needs a lot of work. So there's a lot of things to be considered. Let me go to another slide that I'm going to show you. Let me look at it quickly here. Let's see. The next slide I want to show you that relates to this topic is, there you go. Let me share that. So I want to talk about these points, how to sell your house in 2025, a step-by-step guide. Now, I'm not going to show you how to sell a home because you're probably not selling, but the reason I want to go through it is that the market has changed. It's not like put it in the market, tell your agent to put in the multiple listing service and it's going to sell. Now it's a struggle. You have a lot of competition. Chances are in your neighborhood, when a house comes for sale, there's 3 or 4 other homes for sale. Chances are in your area or in your zip code, there's 10, 20, 30, 40 homes for sale, similar like yours. So to sell a home, and if you consider selling a home, or if you're thinking about selling a home, or if your house is for sale, and on the other hand, if you're a buyer, here is how the sellers are thinking, or here is how sellers need to think to sell their house. So let's go through this. This is a report from Bankrate. It came out on August 5th, 2025. So it's just about a week old. And the key takeaways: the process of selling a house can take quite some time. So it's important to plan ahead and stay organized. Start by setting a timeline to keep to and teaming with local real estate agents who knows your market well. Be sure to take high quality listing photos. Buyers look at homes online first before deciding which to visit in person. And I'm going to read further and then we'll look at the 8 steps. Kind of briefly go through it so you know how the buyers think and how the sellers need to think to sell their home faster and at a higher price, rather than taking it 3, 4, 5 months and then end up giving a lot of concessions concessions. By the way, when I was talking about concessions, the other concessions they are giving is they're actually helping with the closing cost. So especially if it's a government loan or a VA loan or even on regular homes, some of the buyers may ask for the sellers to pay the appraisal fee, or sellers to pay escrow fees or the title fees, or they may ask credit towards paying their loan points, or they may ask to do a 2-to-1 buy down where you pay extra loan points, where the seller pays the extra loan points. So for the first 1 or 2 years, the interest rate the lenders charge to the buyer will be significantly low. So all this is happening where sellers have to pay concessions and give credit. So this is what's happening. So let's go back to selling your home. Most home sellers dream of a quick, stress-free process in which they list their house, get an offer, collect the cash, and hand over the keys. If only it were that simple in reality. Selling a home involves many moving parts, some that you can control and some that are out of your hands. So let's look at some of the key points of what they're talking about and kind of just briefly touch on it. So if you're thinking about selling, or if you're selling, and if you're not doing one of these things, you may want to consider doing it. Or if you have an agent that's helping you or who's going to be helping you sell your home at a top price and fast, you may want to mention these to them. So the 8 steps are: set a timeline, start prepping your home well before you plan to list. And what's involved in prepping a home? Number one is remove stuff that you don't want, declutter your house, and then do some minor repairs and things, like maybe paint it neutral colors if it's red and yellow and pink and purple, different rooms. If it has a lot of small repairs, like your doorknob is not working. I just showed a house 2 days ago and I could not even open the doorknob because when I opened the key, the latch was off, so I could not open it, and the knob was very loose. And the buyers was asking me what's wrong with the house. So the first impression of that house was, this house already needs some work and repair. So little things like that, fix it up. It doesn't cost you a whole lot, but doing little repairs will make the buyer feel good about their house when they don't encounter such things. The other thing that involved is have some curb appeal. If your windows are dirty, if your walls are dirty, wash it out. The garage door is dirty, wash it out. If you have plants, um, they're overgrown, maybe you want to trim them, put some colorful plants in there. Of course, it depends on the season and the area, but doing little things like this go a long way, and it makes you help sell faster. If it doesn't get any more higher price, but it does get you higher price as well. The second thing they ask is that hire an agent, an experienced agent who knows your local market, can best position your home for buyers. So local agents are very important so that they know your market, they know what the trends are, and who's up to date on all the rules and regulations, like commissions, like new rules. Like, for example, in California, there's another a bill that says that if you sell your townhouse and if you have a balcony that's over 6 feet, it needs to be inspected, etc. So if you have a condo, if you have a balcony, and if you don't know such things, maybe your realtor knows about it, so you are well prepared. And on that notion, if you need a realtor, I have a link below. I have a network of top 3% of agents nationwide. I can refer you to one. So fill out that form if you're looking for an agent. Be glad to give you some service here. The other thing is determine upgrades. Take only projects that will be worth your while in terms of resale value. What are they talking about is, and people ask us all the time, should I remodel my bathroom? Should I remodel my kitchen? Well, we say do it if it's going to increase the value of your home, or if you're going to enjoy using it. Because what if you change your bathroom and you put some tiles, red tiles or purple tiles, or a sink that is not standard? And what if the buyer loves your house and don't like the bathroom? They may not buy it. So should you do remodel and upgrades or should you not? It all depends. If it's really outdated and if you're just bringing it up to par, it may help sell it faster and it may help you sell at your current market value. But if your house needs a lot of work, then you're going to get undervalue. So again, talk to your realtor to talk about specifics. But just because you remodel a kitchen doesn't mean you're going to get your price, especially in this market where buyers are very cautious. So just because you spend $50,000 in your kitchen, which is average cost here in Southern California on a house that's to 3,000 square feet. Kitchens cost you anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000. So if I have an old kitchen, which I haven't remodeled in 30 years, and now I remodel it and spend $50,000, doesn't mean I'm going to get 50,000 more. It just means that I took an old kitchen and brought it up to standard. It's like an example of a car. I always use it. Let's say you're going to sell your car and your car is in real good shape. You always wash your car. Your seats are looking great. Your dashboard is looking great. But you always were finicky about tires, and your tires are really old because you just the kind of guy who likes old tires and never wanted to change it. Now you want to sell your car, but you need to change your tires. So you go and buy $200 each tire to replace it. And installation cost $1,000. So does that mean that you're going to get 1,000 more for your car? No, it just means that you brought your car to the market value, whether it's what $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever. So just because you spend money on a car or on a house doesn't mean you can add that on top of the value of your house. It just depends if you added value to the house or you just brought value up to par of your house that you want to sell. So making upgrades, be careful how you make the upgrades. Some get you a return on investment. Some will not get you a return on investment. Number 4, it says set a realistic price. Your agent can help you find the sweet spot. But here's the question. Why do homes don't sell? And I sell a lot of homes that don't sell the first time. And the number one reason, and I know that the sellers won't like it when I say that, the number one reason a house does not sell is because of the price. Buyers are smart today. They're not going to overpay your price. If you're looking for a car, let's go back to the car example again. You're looking for a car, let's say it's a Mercedes. When you look for the car, you're probably going to go to 2 or 3 Mercedes dealers and look at 2 or 3 different models and the price, the upgrades, and you're going to compare. One dealership had one for 50,000, one had for 55,000, and one had for 48,000. Same car, same upgrades. Which car will you buy? Obviously the cheapest one. It's the same thing with the homes. When the buyers look at homes, they're going to look at 3 homes in your neighborhood or 10 homes in your neighborhood, and they're going to compare all the homes. So if you're asking for 100,000 more and the similar homes in similar conditions are less or priced 100,000 lower, which home are they going to buy? So pricing is the key on a home, because if a house is overpriced, 100,000 overpriced, 200,000 overpriced, depending on your market, 50,000 overpriced, no matter how many open houses you make, no matter how much your agent advertises on YouTube or on videos or on Zillow, it's just not going to sell, because buyers are not stupid today. They're going to compare and they're going to buy the right home at the right price, especially in this market where prices are sky high, interest rates are sky high, everything else is sky high, and these buyers are barely making it to buy a house. So the last thing they're going to do is pay overprice of the market value. So just keep that in mind. Number 5 is list with pro photos. I won't get much into it, but making photos, making professional videos is the number one thing you need to do, because 95% of all the buyers start their search online. And if they don't like the video or the pictures or the photos inside of the house, they're going to move on. They're going to swipe away on your homes. This is the TikTok world. They swipe and swipe and swipe. And if they see a house and the pictures are terrible, even though you have a great location, a great price, they're going to swipe away from your home and move on. That's why you also need a good buyer's agent, because if you would have swiped away from a good home, your buyer's agent would have let you know about it anyway. So review offers. I won't get much into details, but your agent can do that with you. Consider all factors, not just the highest dollar amount. And number 7, weigh closing cost. Keep track of how much you'll need to pay the closing at the closing table. Let me make sure you can see this. Yeah, okay. And number 8, the close. Hiring a real estate attorney can help ensure that all your paperwork is buttoned up and ready to go. Of course, this applies towards in the East Coast, where the homeowners and home buyers use attorneys. In the West Coast, where I'm at, and a lot of other states, they don't use attorneys. They work with agents, and then they work with escrow and title companies, who is a neutral party. So all the paperwork, all the money rather than going through an attorney, goes through an escrow company. So just to give you an idea. So let's move on. I'm going to not share the screen here. Stop the screen, and we'll move on to our next point here. Let's talk about what is happening with the increase in inventory, specifically when it comes to new home new homes. And as we know, or as you may know, especially in Texas, I was talking to an agent, a friend of mine in Dallas. She sells a lot of brand new homes, and she told me that right now in Dallas area, Houston area, Austin area, a lot of those metro areas, surrounding areas, homeowners are sitting with a lot of inventory. And when I say a lot, it means a lot. Maybe 4 or 5 months of inventory. The standard is anywhere from 2 to 3 months of inventory. And to sell these homes, the new home builders, what they're doing first and foremost is pausing new construction, or if they were already in the process of construction and started building, instead of building 200 homes, now they're cutting back to just 100 homes or 150 homes. So they're hitting the brakes on building homes. But let's talk about what they are doing right now on the current inventory. And there's a lot of new home inventory. Certain states like Florida, in Florida, there's a town near Cape Coral. It's an island on the other side, and average homes are $800,000. And what the builders are doing, these are new home construction. I believe it's near Cape Coral, but it could be some other state. I was talking to another agent 2 weeks ago. She was on my channel here as a guest. So she was saying that the builders were giving up to $75,000 in incentives, which includes upgrades, closing cost, buy downs, or upgrades, up to $75,000, because they want to move these homes. They're not selling. Florida is hurting compared to all other states. In fact, it's getting better. They had a lot of inventory last year. A lot of the investors, a lot of the developers, a lot of the contractors, a lot of them bought it. So the inventory is lowering. So prices are coming back again. But because this was happening, a lot of the builders, not just this builder, is giving a lot of incentives. In Texas, let me go back to Texas, same thing is happening. They're giving you a lot of incentives. They're also paying 1 year of HOA fees if they're high. They're also paying few months of property taxes. So all this is negotiable. So even if you're looking for a new home, I highly suggest that you hook up with a local realtor who knows the market and go with them, even to the new builders. Most home builders cooperate with buyers agents. Some don't, but even if they don't, you may want to take somebody just to help you negotiate. If they're willing to do so, they can negotiate you with the price. They can negotiate with you on moving times and conditions. They can negotiate with you, giving you options. As far as upgrades goes, they may give you a free refrigerator, free washer dryer, free upgrade on your flooring, a free upgrade on carpets, or they may add granite or countertops if they haven't done those already. Of course, if they've already done it, they cannot give it to you, but then they may pay for HOA fees, or they may give you closing cost, attorney fees, or closing cost, escrow fees, etc. So there's a lot of things you can do if you're working with the home builders. Let me share another slide here. Go back and find it quickly. Just give me few seconds. Here it is. There you go. And I'm going to share that with you. StreamYard. Okay, it's right here. All right, this is talking about the builders. Okay, home builders. Let's see. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, it says here that home builders plan for a slower and pricier year ahead. Okay, when did this come out? Let me see if I have a date here. Let's see. April 24th, 2025. So it's a pretty recent article. Like I said, home stats come out every 90 to 120 days because you need so much data. So let's go through some of this. And this is from NBC News, by the way. The financial rationale to move forward with projects is no longer penciling out. A trade group warns as contractors faced shifting cost estimates and skittish home buyers. Okay. Now, one thing I want to bring out in the earlier, I think I mentioned that what's happening is the topic says that the shifting housing market, the chaos in the housing market, the shift that could hit you in your wallet hard. Well, the fact is, for a lot of the home owners, especially in Texas, Chicago, Denver, Philadelphia, Austin, Houston, lots of states, lots of cities in Florida, it has already hit them in the wallet. And how has it hit them in the wallet? Well, home prices drop. Some cities, in fact, there was one city that has dropped 10%. This is home price from a year ago. A lot of the cities, Naples, Cape Coral, Jupiter, some other cities are down 5 to 10%. So if your house was worth $800,000, now the prices have dropped 10%, which is $80,000. So the house value is 720. So guess what happened to the seller? They just lost $80,000 on home equity. That's what I mean when it hits their wallet, because now if they sell their home, instantly they lost $80,000 just in equity. So the shifting market, I did a video that just came out 2 days ago. Maybe I should run it. In fact, let me run it if I can. I mentioned that the market has shifted. Home prices have already gone down. So is the slowdown here or is it coming? And I mentioned that the shift has already been here and already into the works. So the shift is not coming. And of course, it depends on what state you are and what city you are. Shift is already here. And if it's not here, it is coming in your area. So stay tuned for the shift or stay ahead of the shift. So let's go back to the new home builder, what they were saying. New home sales are rising, but builders are tapping the brakes as the trade war and broader economic uncertainty grip the industry. Now, remember, there was a big drop in home sales. It's coming back up because they're giving the incentives, they're giving you upgrades, they're giving you 1 year of HOA credit, they're giving you property tax credit. So builders are enticing buyers to buy, but in their pocket, it has already hit them. Sales of new homes rose 7.4% from February to March, according to federal data released Wednesday, as buyers took advantage of somewhat lower mortgage rates, and a wider supply of properties to choose from. But rates have already begun inching back up, and home builders are bracing for a slowdown. Now, remember, this was back in February, so the data was from October, November, December. So this data is lagging. When we see this report 3-4 months down the road, it'll be a report from what happened in March, April, May, June. So it'll be a different data. Federal figures showed housing starts plunged more than 11% from February to March. Developers' 6 months sales expectations slipped 4% points from March to April, the National Association of Home Builders reported separately last week. You're being very selective of what you're working on right now with all the uncertainty in the marketplace, said John Kirk, founder of Lightpath, a company, a multifamily home developer in New Braunfels, Texas. In fact, I have a friend there who is an agent there who works the New Braunfels, Texas area. The home building industry isn't particularly vulnerable to President Donald Trump's tariffs, but his mercurial trade policies are affecting its business nonetheless. Only 7% of materials used in new residential constructions are imported, the NAHomeB estimates, which is the National Association of Home Builders. So as you can see, there's a shift going on as we speak. Let me take out this here. Hold on. Okay, there you go. So as you can see, the new home construction has slowed down. A lot of the home builders are cutting back or delaying their home building, or they're making their projects smaller and smaller. They're going from 500 homes to 300 homes, or 300 homes to 150 homes, or a lot of them are also building more affordable homes than bigger homes. The luxury market is slowing quite significantly, and more home builders are building entry-level homes because they're cheaper, they're smaller, and they're easier to sell than brand new luxury homes. Also, there's more people can afford the entry level homes than luxury homes because the rates is still high. And with a lot of luxury homes, especially if it's a newer built homes, then there's association fees, which means that associations are going to be higher. And guess why it's going to be higher? Because when they have association, they have a master policy. So these associations are required to buy insurance policies, master insurance policies. So when the insurance goes up, one, you as a homeowner, your insurance is high. But when you have association, your association goes up because the association, the management company has to buy the association, and they pass on the increases into the HOA. So you're paying your own association higher, and then you're paying part of the master association. So you're paying higher property tax, higher HOA, higher insurance, and of course you're paying higher interest rate and higher payments. So buyers are being very cautious, and they are negotiating home prices to come down. So the bottom line is, if you're a home seller right now, and if your home has not been selling, especially if you're in the higher end market, and if you reduce your price, and remember, 44% of all the home sellers gave some kind of recessions, right? I'm not recessions, I'm sorry, concessions, which means they just lost that much from their pocket. So in other words, if I was a home seller and I had to pay somebody's 1 year association fee up front, or I had to spend $30,000 to fix a roof, or I had to spend $15,000 to fix air conditioning, etc., I just got robbed of that money. I just got robbed of that equity. So there's a shift going on. There's less money that the sellers are making right now, even though they may increase the price, because as the prices go up, you may be increasing your price, but overall, a lot of them are losing equity. A lot of them are losing money. And this is what we were talking about today. So here's a question. Would a 2% rate buy down get you to buy a house? Now, of course, a lot of my viewers are sellers. So you as a seller, would you give incentives to the buyer to buy your home? Would you give them credit repairs, or would you pay a percentage to bring their rates down? Let us know in the comments below if you would do such a thing, or if you would ever consider, or you would never do that. All right, so let's move on. It's almost 6 o'clock. We got still some time to go. I wanted to share with you one more screen, so just bear with me a quick minute. Let's see here. Let's look at this from Realtor.com quickly. Let me go to screen here. I'm going to share it. Thanks for waiting. I appreciate it. Okay, here. Share screen. Okay, there you go. So this one is an article from Realtor.com called The Media Room. It talks about Realtor.com 2025 forecast update. Affordability crunch stalls market momentum. We were talking about it earlier. This report came out on July 23rd, 2025. And I can barely read it. Let me see if I can make this thing bigger here. Home sales are expected to remain subdued in 2025 as persistent affordability challenges and mortgage rates that have stayed higher than the anticipated continue to put pressure on the market, according to Realtor.com 2025 forecast update. Home price growth is also projected to slow, reflecting a more balanced housing landscape. Just want to make sure you can see this. I'm going to go back here. Housing market shift. Let's look at that. Housing market shift towards a more balanced market. One of the key callouts in Realtor.com's original 2025 forecast was that housing market balance, as measured by the monthly supply of homes for sale, would shift from seller-friendly into more balanced market territory, setting the scene for the most buyer-friendly market since 2016. This trend towards a more balanced housing market remains intact and anticipated, with month supply already hitting a post-2016 milestone nationwide of 4.6 months. I remember in 2021, 2022, the housing supply, or the inventory was less than a month, which means as soon as the house came on the market, they sold right away. So it took less than a month to sell a house if no other new homes come on the market, new homes for sale come on the market. Right now, it's 4.6 months. That's the average, which means in California, it may be 3 months, but which means in Texas, it could be 7 months, 8 months. In Philadelphia or Denver or Chicago or certain cities, it may be 8 months of inventory. And some of the cities do have 8 months. Some of the cities in Florida have 7, 8, 9 months of supply already. Although it dropped a little bit, it was as high as 9 months in certain cities that got hit hard by the property tax and the insurance crisis and the disaster. So let's look at here. Let's see the forecast. Let's see here. Housing market shortage. Let me see. Yeah, let's not go there. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen here. So the question is, the inventory is increasing. So the question is, if the inventory is increasing, overall, the forecast is 2026 prices are going to go up 1 to 2%. 2027, the prices are going to go up. 2028, the prices are going to go up. This is a forecast by HES, Housing Economic Survey. This is a survey done by top 100 experts, and they're saying for the next 3 years, prices are going to go up very slightly, but still going to go up anywhere from 1 to 3%, depending on the region overall. So the question is, if it's taking longer to sell a home, the standard has always been the longer it takes to sell a home, the lower the price of the home you get, because the sellers have to drop the price. The sellers have to give concessions. So the question is, if the supply of homes is rising, why are home prices rising? This is the biggest question that's out there. And that's the most surprising phenomenon, because this has never happened before. When supplies is down, home prices go up. When supplies is up, home prices go down. In 2008, I had shown you the chart earlier, there was a supply of anywhere from 9 to 14 months of supply. So the prices went down. Homes in Riverside was selling for $180,000. The homes that were there for $300,000, $400,000 at that time was selling for less than half of what they were purchased at, because the inventory was so high. So now that the inventory is going up, why are home prices going up? Well, the only answer that I could think of is one and only one thing. The inventory is going up, but the shortage is still there. The inventory was 9 months supply back in 2008, 2007. The supply right now is on average 4.5 months. So it's still half of what it used to be. And there's still a shortage. There's still a lot of buyers. Even though a lot of the buyers are out marketed, they cannot afford the 6%, 7% interest rate. They cannot afford the current property taxes. They cannot afford the current home prices. There is still a lot of buyers. There is still a lot of what you call a lot of buyers. In fact, I just sold 3 homes and they were all putting 20% down, and on average down payment of almost $200,000. And guess who helped them with the down payment? Their parents or their siblings or somebody in their family helped them with the down payment, which means there's a lot of generational money coming into the market. And that's one of the reasons what's keeping this market very strong. Even though with the higher prices, higher interest rate, there's a lot of buyers out there who are buying because there's a lot of help from generational money, family helping family, or a lot of sellers are selling their homes and buying bigger homes. I'm going to be listing a property where they bought it 3 years ago. It's gone up $200,000. Now they want to sell it and buy a bigger home. And they want to use that equity, put all of it into the bigger home. So there is still a lot of buyers who can afford it. So yes, inventory is going up, but yes, prices are still going up. And according to stats, the prices are not going down. The prices are going up slowly but surely overall nationwide. Of course, if you're in Florida, a lot of the home prices have gone down. So again, as I mentioned earlier, market is very local. Just because what's happening in Orange County, California, market's very strong. inventory is low. It's not taking 5 months to sell a house. It's taking anywhere from 2 to 3 months to sell a house. Florida, it may take you 8 months to sell a house, and you may have to drop your price significantly to sell your home. So your equity is dropping. So as far as the timing goes, what's the best time for you to sell? If you're thinking about selling, talk to your local realtor. They'll let you know what's happening, what's projected to be happening in your area. So it's a different market. Let us know in the comments below what's happening in your market, or if you're thinking about selling, or what's stopping you from selling, or what's stopping you from buying, or when you would sell or when you would buy. So let us know. If you're watching a recording, make a comment. If you're live, feel free to put a question down. Some of the things I want to talk about, and one of the things I want to talk about as my last point, is what's happening with the foreclosure market. Are foreclosures coming in the market? I already have some good friends of mine. These guys are investors, and they're calling me, "Hey, Mike, find me foreclosures, find me short sales." And I tell them, "Call me in 2 years," as a joke. And to be honest with you, in Southern California, I haven't seen any foreclosures. I don't expect to see a lot of foreclosures, but there's a lot of states, especially in the East Coast, and I won't mention them. There's a lot of foreclosures on the horizon. I read a report, actually read the article myself, so it's not fake news. I read the article, and it says that in 2025, there are up to 2 million homes that are defaulting, or they are late on payments, or they're delinquent on payments, up to 2 million homes. And these are buyers that bought from 2021, actually 2022 to 2023. And these are the homes that were bought with FHA loans, which is the Federal Housing Authority loans, which are government loans, which allows you to buy homes with as low as 3.5% down. And because these are government loans, they allow you to buy, or they did allow a lot of these buyers to buy with low FICO scores. How low? Well, today I think the lenders would like to see 640, 650 and up to get better terms and rates and conditions on your loan. But some of these loans, from what I read, they were given to home buyers with under 600 FICO score, which is a very, very low FICO score, which means they were late on their payments, or they were delinquent on their payments, or they were not making payments at all. So that's why it's such a low score. Now, why would FHA give loans to these buyers? And look what happened. These are the very buyers that were given these loans with low FICO score, with low down payments. They could barely qualify. They were pushed and shoved to get the loan. Now they cannot make the payments. And why is it that they cannot make payments? There's two reasons, two critical reasons. You might think, well, they probably lost their jobs or their medical situation. Yes, that is true. But if from the reports I read, the two main reasons they cannot afford to make the payments are these. Let's assume that somebody bought a house and the payment was $2,000 in 2022, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Everything was fine. 2022 went along, they made their payments. 2023 went along, they made their payments. All of a sudden, in 2024, especially if you were in Florida or Texas or other states where property taxes skyrocketed, home insurance skyrocketed. So what happened with these sellers or with these buyers? They had a $2,000 a month payments. Everything was fine. All of a sudden, the insurance went up $300 to $400 a month, just like that. The property tax went up $200, $300 a month. So all of a sudden, you have a 300, 400, 500, up to 1,000, 2,000 a month in increased payments. I did a video. You may want to look on my channel. My last 4 or 5 videos talks about the insane mortgage payments. Look it up. And a lot of the homeowners cannot make those payments because the payments have gone up not only $300 a month, up to $2,000 a month. Yes, up to $2,000, $3,000 a month more than the normal payments. So going back to these FHA buyers, that's most likely scenario. What's happening is the payment went up by 400, 500, 600, 700, depending on the property value. On top of all this, to make matters worse, the medical cost went up, their utility cost went up, their grocery bills went up, their gas bills went up. So all of a sudden they're looking at $1,000 more. So if I was that seller, would I pay my gas and groceries and do that first, or would I get late on my mortgage? I have to buy food, I have to pay for my kids' clothes, kids' diapers, or my parents' medical bills. So now they're getting behind on mortgage payments. And that's the scenario that's happening. The people who bought, pushed and shoved to bought, are now cannot afford it. So we're just seeing foreclosures. Going back to foreclosures, we're not seeing foreclosures because these people or the banks and the lenders are trying to remedy this situation. And even if they have to sell the house, if I was behind and I was behind 6 months, if I bought a house in 2022, I probably have 30, 40, or at least 10, 20, 30% of increase in equity because the prices have gone up overall, right? So even if I have to sell the home, the house won't go into foreclosure because I have some equity or enough equity to at least sell the home and move on and pay the bank and pay the penalties and pay the lawyer fees. So the good thing is, because of the increase in equity, even if I have to sell, when I say me, if I have a delinquency on my payments, I'm 3 4 months behind and have to pay penalty fees and etc., I can still sell the house, pay the commissions, the escrow fees or the attorney fees or the penalties or the 6 months behind fees, and walk away without going into foreclosure. So yes, the delinquencies are skyrocketing, defaults are skyrocketing, but the foreclosures are far and few in between, because as long as we have equity, we won't see foreclosures. And as long as we have low inventory, we won't see foreclosures because people are going to snatch them up. In fact, I was talking to um, an investor. Um, he just bought a house where this lady was behind on payments for 1 year. The house was worth $800,000 and she hadn't paid for a year. This was in LA. It was a smaller, older house. And what happened was this investor got to buy this house for 550 because she told us, look, I'll pay you 550 all cash and you're done. And he'll pay all the back payments, delinquencies. So the house was worth $800,000 in that condition. He got it for $550,000. The lady walked away with nothing on her shoulders. And then the investor paid the bank, paid the creditors, did the remodel, and still got a deal out of the house, because I'm sure within $100,000, if he paid 550 and spent $100,000 fixing it up and paying all the delinquencies, he got the house for 650, which was worth $800,000. So let me just go over here 1 minute quickly here. I have a question from Natural. Let's see here. Natural Lyric asked a question. I'm not behind on my payments, but I'm trying to sell my place to move closer to family. The market here is very slow. The positive element is the prices falling in my son's area. Thanks for the comments. If you have any specific question, I'll be glad to answer that, but I'm sorry to hear that you're trying to sell your place and move family. The market here is very slow. I'm not sure what market you're in, but if you adjust the price and do some extra marketing, do some decluttering, and I'm not sure what the situation is, that could help. Please let me know how we can help. Direct message or ask it here. Sorry, I spelled the comments wrong. Let me see here. Patience will help. Best to sit down with your realtor and replan. So he's asking that I guess I should be patient. Yes, patience is a virtue, but if you have to buy somewhere or you have to move somewhere because you are having a relocation, or if timing is an issue, then there's only certain times you can wait. But depending on your situation, and I'm not sure what market you're in, It might be taking 3 or 4 months to sell your home, but as long as you price right and it's been marketed right and your house is presentable, that means you've decluttered, you have neutralized, you have a good curb appeal, um, etc., etc., it should sell. And if it's not selling, I would sit down with your agent and kind of go through number one and figure out why it's not selling, what could be done to bring buyers in. If you have a lot of buyers that has come in, looked at the house, and if they're not making an offer, and if it looks well, if your location is well, if it's presenting well, if the condition is well, then it comes down to one thing. And I hate to say this, I've been doing this for 25 years. It always comes down to one thing. Your price may be high for the current trends, current market in your local neighborhood. So maybe you want to visit the pricing structure, and talk to your realtor. If you have a realtor, I'm not sure if you have a realtor or if you're selling it on your own. So feel free to direct message me or make any comments. I'll be glad to guide you, and go from there. So I'm glad you asked me these questions. Going back to foreclosures, we get asked, especially from buyers, are foreclosures coming? And I would say not soon enough. I would wait. There's still a lot of equity in the homes. So if I was behind on my payments, 1 year I could not pay because of medical condition or I lost my job, I can still sell my home even with the back payments, sell it as is condition, and I still have a lot of equity. So it's not going to go to foreclosure. So even if the bank's chasing me, I can sell my house and pay them all the balances that I have. Um, so I don't think foreclosures are coming. I don't expect foreclosures. I don't expect foreclosures to hit the market for at least 2 more years. There may be more delinquencies. There may be more people getting behind. There may be a lot of sellers having a hard time making payments. But by the time they sell, by the time they lose up their equity, they might just walk away, sell the house and walk away, and don't owe anybody any money, and they still have good credit or maintain their credit, um, and be able to buy another house soon after their credit becomes back to par. So hopefully that answered any questions. If there's any questions, feel free to ask me. uh, One question I want to ask you, and if you can answer, is that if you're in an HOA, if you have a homeowners association, um, has your association gone up significantly? Of course, all associations go up. Mine goes up almost every month, $3, $4, $5 a month every year for the last 20 years that I've been here. It has not doubled, tripled, quadrupled as in many states, especially Florida. Some of the HOAs there has quadrupled. So if so if you are paying $500 a month in HOA, some of them are now paying $2,000 a month. Some of them, excuse me, especially in Florida, they have reassessment values attached to those HOA. That means that if there was a major disaster, or if the building, especially buildings over 3 stories with the new build in Florida, they have to do an inspection. And if the inspection is not up to par, not up to code, then they have to spend a lot of money. And some of these homeowners are being assessed with 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 upfront assessments, and they have to pay upfront on top of their HOA doubling, quadrupling, tripling, etc. So there's a lot of disasters going on out there. We don't see these, but things like these are happening. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, let me go to this. So quick step for sellers. If you're thinking about selling and if it's not selling, some of the things you can do is like revisit your comparative market analysis, talk to your agent, see what's happening. If you have a smaller things that needs to be taken care of, decluttering, fixing, you may want to do that. Bring your house up to par. Maybe you want to take better pictures, better videos, so you can present it well, and adjust your price if you need to. If you've been on the market 3, 4, 5 months and it's not selling, and you've had a lot of traffic as far as buyer goes, you may want to adjust your price. If you are a buyer and if you were pre-approved 4 months ago, you may want to come back and get another pre-approval, because maybe you were pre-approved for $600,000, but now in your area, because of the insurance rates went up and the property tax rates went up, So even though the rates have dropped, you may still be in the same position because your property tax and insurance has gone up and HOA has gone up if they have HOA. So revisit your pre-approval with your lender and get pre-approved again because the numbers might have changed in your area. And then if you are not able to buy a brand new home or a great home or a bigger home, you may want to downsize your home. You may want to buy a house that needs a little bit of work so that you can buy it cheaper or it's more affordable to you. And one of the things I would tell a buyer is buy below your means. A lot of the buyers, as I gave you an example earlier, if they could afford a $400,000 house and their payment was $2,500, I would buy a $350,000 house and keep your payments lower because there's a good chance my HOA, my property tax, my insurance will go up along with my everything else cost going up. So to buy a house is to get freedom and enjoy the house. You don't want to buy a house where you become a slave to the payments. And people who bought in last 3, 4, 5 years are becoming slaves to their payments. Sorry to say that, but that's what's happening. They're living paycheck to paycheck. 30% of your paycheck should go to your housing, but there are buyers out there that are paying 40%, 50% of their paycheck towards their new payments because everything went up: HOA, property tax, insurance, maintenance, upkeeps, utilities. Half of the paycheck is going towards their housing and living, which is just ridiculous. And I did another video on my different channel where I say that now it's cheaper to rent than to buy. In fact, there was a survey done, and they said that in 100 metro areas throughout USA, it was cheaper to buy. It was cheaper to rent than to buy in those 100 areas. So if you're struggling to make payments, if you're struggling to qualify, uh, don't get into more of a scenario where you end up becoming a slave to your house mortgage payments, paying 40% of your paycheck towards it. It should be 30% or 35% or lower. You may want to consider buying lower, or you may consider buying renting, save up some more money, and then put a bigger down payment when you can. So with that, I hope I gave you some information. If you have any questions or comments, please make them. I apologize for the mistake I made where my mic was not working on my first stream, so I had to redo it. So my apologies. I'll see you next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your comments.